Good evening. Tonight is going to be a much better night because last night my connection for some reason was horrible, and it wasn't just me because everyone that I talked to that uses the land of Facebook was in the same boat. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Get a pen, get a paper. Bring an open mind because as well as you know as well as I do that our minds work best when they are open, kind of like a parachute. If you were to use a parachute, the best way for it to work would be for it to be open. So get your pen, get your paper. I'm going to get rolling here in about 2 seconds. To get my little stand set up here. And welcome, Kathleen. So, hey, what's up, Chris? If you are a new person to my training, what's up, Lori? So tonight's training will only be 30 minutes. So we get to pack a lot of very potent information in a very short amount of time. Hey, Lori. And I believe that we'll all go tonight on our connection so we can actually dig into a lot more stuff. What's up, Carlos? So here's what we're going to do. If you are new or if you're catching the replay, hey, Kathleen, make sure you connect with me at thinkgreatloseweight.com because if you are not connected with me, you cannot comment on any of my stuff, and it makes it more of a challenge for you to get the replays. I send the replays out to our email list, as well as a lot of other valuable content that Chris and I both put out. So make sure you take a minute and write this down. Go to thinkgreatloseweight.com. And that way you can put your little email address on there and we'll send you some awesome information. And most importantly, we're going to connect with you and create lots of value for you on your journey with us. And we appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about me, okay? Short amount. I'm 38 years young. I started doing the health and wellness deal when I was 7 years old. Like I have been at it for 31 years, full on. I have well over 100,000 hours invested in this stuff. And not because I had to, it's because I got to. It's because I found it fun and I found it invigorating. And I'm extremely passionate about doing it and about serving you with the information that is common to me and uncommon to most. Okay. At this point in my journey, I've worked with over about 40,000 people, so quite a few. I get blessed to work. Thanks, Chris. There's the website right there, our website. I get blessed to work with people with Parkinson's, cancer, and AIDS. I get blessed to work with actors, with professional public speakers, with high-level entrepreneurs and peak performers and athletes. So I get to work with a lot of amazing people, and I just love what I do. I get connected with some of the best because of the availability of freaking people text messaging me right in the middle, and I had all kinds of stuff screwed up. I apologize about that. So back in action, right? So here's what we're going to talk about. The big idea that I have for you tonight is this. I invite you to be open-minded for a moment and ask yourself, and I'm going to present to you some information. And what I'm presenting to you is this. Do you think that it's possible that one skill set can create miracles on the spot in your life consistently on a daily basis? Is that even possible? Some would argue probably not. Others would argue, as myself, I would say absolutely yes, because I see it happen on a consistent basis. Now, what I also invite you to consider is this, is that every time you have an itch or a scratch or a pain or a symptom that shows up in your body, I'm inviting you to keep an open mind that that is actually emotional information, that your subconscious person, your divine self, your God self, your spirit, is using your body literally as a communication device, much like our car has the dashboard of our car inside of it that tells you when the gas light goes off, you need gas, tells you when the air pressure goes too low that you get to put air in it. Our body is exactly the same way. And it's articulated through the amount of times, through our language choice, through the amount of times that we stutter, through emotional code. All of that is information. And most people, when I talk to them about this, it is way out of their box. And as I start unfolding the information to them, they slowly start to become aware that, wow, this is actually going on. And my opinion is because divinely understanding, it makes sense with them how logical that actually could be. Because when you know this, when you know the truth, you feel the truth. You just know that sounds like. So let's get to work. So I think it's important for you to understand, and I kind of got off on this last night and started talking about it, but the issue was that the connection kept going out. So here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk to you about my first experience with body language, and I'm going to let you make your own whatever you experience out of it, right? So my first experience with body language. What's up, Jason? Thank you, brother. My first experience with body language was rather interesting, all right? So a lot of you know I'm very completely transparent and 100% open with my past and what's happened. I won't say what's happening to me. I'll say what I created. How's that? Instead of being a victim, I am choosing to be a conscious creator of my experiences. All of them. So in my early 20s, I was suicidal. A lot of people don't know that. And I'm very open with it. I had a relationship that went south. That I honestly did not know how to handle. It freaking threw me for a wild loop. I got really heavy into drugs, just was suicidal. I lost 20 pounds in 2.5 weeks. If you name it, I could probably say that I had some type of experience with it. That's just what it was. So really for about 8 years, as I was going through life, I would be able to continue with my life. I made it out. I'm here. We're having a great time. I'm fine. I'm not going to kill myself. I love myself, and I enjoy my life. I'm enthusiastic about it. And when I was working my way through my experience, what happened was, yes, I made it through the experience. And as I was forwarding in life, and I was in my career. What's up, Mario? Welcome back. Oh, hey. Thank you, Mario, for reminding me. Please, I appreciate it if you would share this for me now. However you got to do it, slide it over or whatever. If any of y'all know how to do that or can articulate that very simply, I would greatly appreciate your help in doing so. So, carrying on with my story. So, as I was going through my life and I made it through the experience of being suicidal multiple times, I was in my career, enjoying my career, my job. I was managing training departments and all that fun stuff. Was in new relationships, right? And I remember telling myself at one time, man, I'm having a great time. My relationship is good. I'm really loving and enjoying my work and enjoying training departments and just enjoying what I get to do. And lo and behold, very shortly after that, I started having sabotage thoughts. I'm like, where are these sabotage thoughts coming from? Because not even 5 seconds ago, I was just mentally, consciously expressing how much I loved my job and how much I loved what I was doing. And 2 seconds later, I'm having sabotage thoughts. Like, where is this coming from, right? I don't get it. Well, a lot of you, and you go, see, that's body language. So a lot of you have probably heard me talk about the elephant and the ant. The elephant is our subconscious mind. The ant is our conscious mind. And everything that goes on in our life, from genetically through past lineages, through before we were born, through every experience that happens in life, we have every experience that is ingrained in our subconscious. Now, what that means is this. The reason why I was having sabotaging thoughts, because of the experience that I had when I was in my early 20s, when I was suicidal, I had not consciously gone back and forgiven myself, forgiven my former partner, chose to love myself again and gave myself permission to forgive myself, and chose to recommit to my life. And what happened was this. I nearly sabotaged myself to death about 10 times. Cancel clear, I choose my life. Because of what was functioning underneath my awareness. Now, here's the next part of my story. My first experience with body language was rather intense. Chris was actually there. I was in class, and I was sitting there with my coach, and there was a young lady that was sitting right next to me that was talking to her coach, and I'm sitting there with my arm on her chair, just relaxing, and I'm literally like digging into my arm, like very notably digging into my arm, like a little more than just one of these, right? So I knew something was up. I mean, subconsciously, I was hot. I kind of was uncomfortable. My body was telling me something. I just did not know what was going on. So at the break, I walk up to my coach. And I said, hey, Bob. I was like, what does this mean? And I'm not even joking to you. Like, literally, like 4 words out of my mouth. He goes... Thank you. He goes, how long have you had a death wish? I'm like, what? That's crazy. What are you how did you know that? He goes, don't say anything else. Hold it before class starts back up. So class starts back up. I get to sit in the hot seat. And there's literally probably 20 people in class. And it's uncomfortable. I'm okay with being in public. I have no issue talking in public and, expressing myself and being okay with it. And still uncomfortable when you're talking about, do you love yourself? Have you forgiven yourself? Are you committed and fully willing to thrive moving forward? This part was the important. It was the uncomfortable part. For 22 minutes, my coach and I went back and forth. He asked me, do you love yourself? I said, of course I do. Anything other than yes or no is non-existent communication. So basically that was a no, not wrong. It's just feedback. He goes, all right, how about now? And I said, okay, yes, I do. In that moment, we basically went through 20 more minutes of conversation of code. Like literally, I was like 4 consciousness levels away from right here and right now because of the language patterns that I was saying. So when you say, I don't know, guess what? You don't know. Instead of saying, I don't know, say, I choose to know. I give myself permission to know. I give myself permission to remember when I felt this way the first time. I give myself permission to remember when I felt out of love with myself. I give myself permission all the time because what people don't understand is our egoic mind wants to keep us safe. And giving yourself permission to get out of your own way is sometimes the best thing you can do to grow and expand. If not, you will stay the same. I invite you to give yourself permission being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That's the only way you're going to grow. So literally, when we were finished with class that day, honestly, I thought I had eaten a couple hits of acid when I left class that day because everything was different. The shades, the animals, the experiences that were going on, the trees were vibrating. I had people calling me out of the blue saying, hey man, I love you, and I was just praying for you, and I was just thinking about you. And I'm like, dude, these people have no idea what just happened in there. This is just showing up. Literally, like I had 5 or 10 onion layers just peeled off of my eyes, and a whole new life of experience was in front of me. And here's something interesting that I still have not made sense of this fully just yet. So I get back to my house. Nobody knows what happened. I'm sitting in my garage, and I'm just unwinding and processing information. I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, I see this hawk fly across the street. And it lands in this tree. And when it lands in the tree, the whole freaking tree limb just goes. I'm like, that's weird. It's not even half as weird as what happened next. Then I see the hawk fly out into the street with this blue thing in his hands. Just crisped. He lands in the middle of the street, and he literally starts pecking at this blue jay and ripping it apart. And I was like, that's not fucking cool at all. So I got out of my chair and I slammed my foot on the street, thinking he was going to let go of it. And he took off with the bird. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. I'm really not even quite sure what to think of that, other than that's the cycle of life. That's my old self dying way to my new one. And fighting it is futile. Giving yourself permission to step into your full God self. Giving yourself permission to forgive yourself of your past. Because I assure you, for 7 or 8 years, I hid behind all the stuff that happened to me, thinking, man, nobody's going to want to work with this dude. He's been to jail. He's had 9 felonies. This guy's a fuck up. I hid behind that for a long time. And finally decided, you know what? God says specifically, I am the door no man can shut. And if he can take a person who basically used to murder and kill Christians in the Bible and turn him into the most prolific person, I said, hey, I got a chance. Just as well as everyone else does. So I guess really the concept and the theme that I'm inviting you to implement and adopt in your life is ask yourself the question, give yourself permission right now to check in with yourself. And here's what you're going to do. There's 3 places. You've all heard me talk about this, and we're going to dial down some basics because I don't care who you are. Professional players, they're masters at the basics. Master the basics and everything else will happen. If you focus on the little things, the big things will happen. It's the little things that make the big things happen. So if you dive in right now, because I know with the story that I just shared, some of you are emotionally evoked, and that's perfect. This is a divinely orchestrated conversation in which I am just allowing God to speak to me, through me, to you, to hopefully support you on your journey right here, right now. Here's the deal. If you check in right now with yourself, what do you notice? Do you have any tight spots? Do you have coughing? Are you itching? Are you scratching? Are you uncomfortable? Love it all. When you choose to not forgive someone, no matter how hard the pain, you are choosing to basically run yourself into the grave, because all you're going to be doing is being released to the tormentors, quote unquote, scripturally speaking. Sure, you should give yourself permission to forgive someone 70 times 7. By not forgiving someone, you're only hurting yourself. Welcome, Rachel. So if you have tightness in your stomach right now, that's fear. If you have tightness in your chest, in your throat, that's sadness. If you have tightness in your back and your neck, that's anger. If you're scratching your bicep, this means you have sorrow on a female side. If you are scratching your right arm, this means you have sorrow with a male in your life or with something that has been done. I'm going to share with you some experiences of what I have seen specifically with body language, and this happens to me daily. This happens to me so much that I tell people, look, I see miracles every day. I used to be like, man, I wonder if that's going to happen this time. I don't know, I can't say that. I have since been convicted fully of seeing miracles on a consistent basis because of the information that God has shared with me and allows me to share with you. And hopefully you take it on and hopefully you use it for yourself to create influence with yourself, to create human mastery for yourself. Because guess what? If you don't create it with yourself, you cannot create it with someone else, because there is no one else. That is you. When you're passing judgment on someone else driving down the road, or when you're passing someone else judging on whatever, that is you're passing judgment on. It's karmic, meaning that's going to happen to you some way, form, or fashion. Welcome, Heather. What I invite you to do is this: instead of judging, I invite you to vote someone's victory, which is the opposite of judgment. Vote yourself's victory. When I'm looking at someone and I may be thinking judgment, I automatically say, I vote my victory. And then I grab my ear like this. Bam. It's body language. All of the stuff that I'm talking to you about, plus a million times deeper, is all in our body language training. Getting into understanding what all these itches and scratches are, and what happens when you scratch with this finger versus this finger, and this side versus this side. That's all information. So much so that you could literally be into a public place and watch people and understand what's functioning emotionally, and most importantly, not to judge them. It's to help them and to support them back into their victory, because that is you and me. All right. 2 things I'm going to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and open up the questions for you right now. If you have some questions, go ahead and shoot them in. I'm going to share a couple of stories with you while those questions are trickling in. So, a couple of instances just to kind of give you an idea of some body language stuff. So, I've had lots of them. These are the 2 that I'm going to tell you about today. So, I had a friend of mine, Leanne. She's often on here. She may even be on here right now. Leanne, if you're on here right now, peek your head in there and say, yes, I am. Leanne had knee problems for 20 years that put her down. She couldn't move around. If she did move around, she'd be down for 3 days. And she had stomach issues for 30 years. Now, anytime you go to the doctor and the doctor says, I don't know what's wrong with you, but we're looking for something so we can name it something and treat it for you, you're already on the wrong foot. I invite you to consider that everything that goes on is going to happen to you emotionally first, that then shows up itself in your physical body via a symptom, via an illness, or via a dis-ease. Once you can identify